Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bias Football Review. My name's Jake. I'm joined by Cameron and Lewis today. And we're going to be talking about VAR, having a debate whether we should keep it or get rid of it or make changes or whatever. So I'm going to start off with a question to you, Lewis.
Yeah, go for it.
Should we keep VAR? Because I know what your answer's going to be.
It's a tricky one. For me, I would get rid of it, yeah. I think, how long has it been in now? Is it 3 years?
It came in 2019.
So it's
1920 season, I think.
a lot longer than I think it's been then. My stance would be we've tried it. It's not really worked. I think that'd be fair to say. Mistakes still happen. So why don't we just go back to having, refs making mistakes, but having been able to confidently celebrate goals, not having constant 3, 4, 5 minute pauses in games, which affects the flow, constant debates about interpretations of laws. Just get back to, traditional, the referee refs the game, he's going to get things wrong because he's human. That'd be my position. Just go back to have technology for goal line technology, have the goal line technology, have the offsides, and then, because the problem is the rules, it's all about interpretation. So you can have VAR, but people are still interpreting the rules, aren't they? So obviously the benefit to VAR is the ref gets to see things again, obviously, whereas before VAR they got to see something once and had to make a decision, which is difficult in a fast-paced, elite sport, to see something once. A player might be able to score in your vision. Obviously, they do have assistants to help them out, like the 2 linesmen and the 4th official. But yeah, for me, I just think it just disrupts the game too much. The main thing for me is the pauses, constant. I mean, you do get games where there's very little VAR interference, but there's just been too many games where you're waiting as a fan. You're waiting for 3, 4, 5 minutes. A handful of times in a game, and it just kills any kind of momentum in the stadium. The crowd gets restless. So I think for me, just scrap it at this point.
I'm not with you on this. I think, yeah, obviously it takes too long. I think there need to be changes to make it quicker. I think after 2 minutes, if the ref if VAR can't make a decision, you just stick with the on-field decision because it's not a clear and obvious error at that point.
Well, this clear and obvious thing seems to have disappeared, hasn't it?
I mean, they use it for everything now. It seems, right?
And that's what I don't understand. I thought it was meant to be they only if a ref makes a decision, and it could be either way. My interpretation is that you just go with that decision. VAR will not intervene in a decision that is not clear and obvious.
But now it is.
But now,
right?
now they do it for everything.
Yeah.
You watch BT Sport and they're like, oh yeah, there's a VAR check on that corner for, and it's like nothing. It's just there's VAR checks for everything. So
yeah,
I thought it was meant to be when a clear error. Remember that time at Arsenal, that wrong player got sent off or something like that.
Yeah,
I thought that is what it was being brought in to prevent big errors, not to debate every little foul, every little, penalty call. That's not what it should be, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think it should be. I don't think it is for any little foul. It's for penalties, and it's for goals, and for red cards. Yes, they're checking penalties quite often because with corners and free kicks or whatever, and players getting held onto.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you have to check. Like if there is VAR in the game, you have to check. But I mean, those ones, they don't stop the game, do they? Someone gets pulled down in the box.
No, that's been an improvement. No, they do. They let the game go on
unless the ball goes out.
Yeah.
Then they.
But then to me, that's strange because if someone scores, and they're like, I don't need to bring it back for a penalty. Like, how would that work? They just cancel the goal out and give the penalty.
Probably not.
No. So how does that work?
Well, I don't know, but I feel like if it's in the same phase of play. Bournemouth are attacking. Yeah.
Clivert gets brought down in the box, clear pen, but ref doesn't give it. and then the other team goes down the other end and scores a goal,
Oh,
and then they're
you're
like,
talking about that?
yeah, and then they're like, oh no, wait,
Oh,
that's a penalty.
That has happened before. Yeah.
What happened then? So they just cancelled.
They cancel the goal and
scraps-
give a penalty, even though it shouldn't have been a penalty.
It's mental, isn't it?
1920 season, Bournemouth versus Burnley.
But I think Ange
Our
spoke
goal
about
got cancelled
this.
out. They got a penalty.
Ange spoke about this. I think it was after the Chelsea game. He was saying that the refs do not have power on the pitch. And he's right. Refs do not have the power on the pitch. Because, like, literally, you could go and ref a Premier League game. Because all you've got to do...
No, I couldn't.
But all you've got to do is just... You're just
I don't have the
listening...
balls, bro.
You're just getting told what decisions to make. You're not making decisions yourself. You're just be like, oh yeah, check this, check that. This is a pen. This is a. Let the referee the game.
I'm still not with you here, mate. I'm just not. I think
You're not seeing any benefits to scrapping it.
no. With the way technology is nowadays, I guess the only benefit would be get to celebrate goals.
But
and not worry about
the
it
thing
being
is-
disallowed. With the technology that we have nowadays, you're gonna everyone's gonna after the game. If there is no VAR, they're gonna go back and be like, "Oh, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong," and then teams are gonna get so many more apologies from refs for mistakes that they've
would
made.
you agree that VAR does not guarantee the right decision? That's a fair
we've
comment,
seen
right?
VAR give wrong decisions. right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
numerous
but-
times.
So why not just have a ref make that wrong decision?
But because
cut out
we
the
have less, we have
pauses?
we have fewer wrong decisions with VAR.
I mean, do we?
Yes.
I mean, you'd have to look at the stats for that, but
I mean, how many goals since VAR have been introduced have been given that were offside?
well, it was the one against Liverpool earlier this season.
That's the other way around.
Oh
though.
no, yeah, it was onside.
that was the other way around.
Yeah.
I
but
don't think I can think of one.
Well, that's
Before
my other
that-
issue. Offside should be automated. It should not
they should
be VAR checked. It should just be auto. How is that not in the Premier League in 2024?
Yeah, I
Automated
don't.
offsides?
I don't know.
How?
I don't know.
How does it? Do they have like lasers going across the pitch and they just detect? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. How is that not in?
They also have, I think, a chip in the ball as well, so you can tell when the contact was made.
Yeah. So that's one thing. So okay. So if I back down, it's not going to get scrapped. So what needs to change?
Well, automated
Um,
offsides. I think you need 2 minutes limitation for each VAR
Yeah,
check.
We spoke about this, didn't we? A timer.
A timer.
So,
After 2 minutes, if the VAR hasn't come to a decision, stick with what the ref said.
but why is that? Is that because it's not clear and obvious? If you're
Because
taking
it's
2
not clear,
minutes to decide.
not clear and obvious. It's taking too long.
Mm,
But also because of players' injuries as well. I feel like the longer a player stops
mm.
and then they go again after like 5
That's
minutes.
the other thing.
Injuries.
I mean, I definitely think VAR has increased
Yeah.
the number of injuries
Which is why you need a
100%.
2-minute time limit.
because players are constantly
Stop starting.
stops. They could potentially be pausing for 5 minutes, 3, 4, 5 times in a game, and then you have like 10 minutes added time at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that a time limit is needed
Yeah.
for VAR checks because they just take too long sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all interpretation, though, isn't it? So
Exactly. Maybe the
the only
laws
benefit I
need
see to
changing
VAR,
rather than
the
VAR.
only benefit is that you get to see it again. Apart from that, I don't really see, because it's still an individual interpreting a rule and applying it to the incident on the pitch.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to the clear and obvious, doesn't it? Like if VAR doesn't think it's a clear and obvious error from the referee, then they're not gonna send them over to the monitor. They're still gonna check it, but they're not gonna send them over. And which is like sometimes it is an error, but it's not clear and obvious, right? Like you look at it,
Yeah, you think, that could go either way.
yeah, but then it comes down to the refs' consistency rather than VAR. Like the refs in the Premier League are inconsistent.
But
in
then,
terms
do
of
you
the
think
decisions they make?
do you think VAR has made it harder for refs to referee the game?
I think so. Because
Yeah.
they can't really ref the game anymore, can they? Because no matter what decision they make, someone's going to.
If you were a ref, would you want VAR as a crux? Because I wouldn't. I'd be like, I ref the game. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake.
I don't know. I think I would.
You'd want VAR?
Yeah.
Well, because you're a bit of a But do you think it's a bit of like a cop out though?
It doesn't matter if it's a cop out if it's helping improve the game. I mean, obviously you don't think it's improving the game.
I think
It's very weird for a Bournemouth fan to be defending.
no.
VAR,
I think it
I'll be
has
honest.
improved. I think there's too many downsides to it. It's one of them instances where the
But
cons outweigh the pros.
the time it takes, right? That's a con that we can all agree on.
Yeah, but the pro to it is a few more right decisions here and there.
But surely that's the most important thing, getting the decision right.
Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes there's charm in a wrong decision. With VAR,
Please tell me you're playing devil's
with
advocate here.
VAR, the hand of God never happens.
Good.
But the hand of God is like a.
I mean, it's an iconic
It's an
moment.
iconic
football
moment
history,
in-
right? Like, as wrong as it is, like, like that, it's historic.
So in a couple of years'
Yeah.
time, we're going to look back at the Liverpool disallowed goal and be like, oh, that's an iconic moment.
I don't know. I just think football has.
Especially if they come second in the league by
Football
1
has a
point.
quality where it's not. Like, a game like tennis is, the ball's in or out, right? There's no interpretation really needed in a game like tennis. The rules are. The game is.
It's because there's very few rules compared to
Like,
football.
there is quite a few rules, like
But it's not. It's a non-contact sport, so you're not going to.
No,
There's not going to be any fouls or anything.
yeah. But I also think VAR has kind of diminished the contact aspect of the game
Yeah.
quite substantially. I mean, there's some red cards now that get given. I think that's not. Come on.
Any that come to mind?
Yeah, a few Spurs ones this season. Well,
Any straight reds that come to mind? Because the VAR can't get involved in a second yellow, which I think is kind of. Don't get involved in one yellow card, but if it's a second yellow card, check the
the
second
ones
yellow.
for me is obviously we spoke before about the Udogie one, which I think is the red card, and the reason is because there's no attempt to get the ball. I think
Or the one on a doggy.
the one on Udogie. Yeah,
By
I
McGinn.
think if there's a genuine attempt to win the ball, then VAR should do everything it can to keep the player on the pitch. In my opinion. If there's a genuine attempt, if the foot is high, okay. If the foot is high, okay. But if there's a genuine attempt, can we keep the player on the pitch?
Well, then it's difficult because then you have to look at all the other factors as well, like the force that the player goes in with, like
Yeah, but the force.
how high the tackle is.
They should be going in with force.
No, but if they're going in with excessive force,
But what's excessive force? If you want to win the ball, you needs a bit of force. If you don't go in with enough force, you're not going to win the ball.
the one I'm thinking right now is Moda against Nottingham Forest at the weekend.
I don't think I saw it. But is it one of them where he's come
was
to win the ball and he's he's gone over the ball?
2 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
did-
I think
he
no,
didn't
no,
get he didn't
yeah.
get sent off,
two,
and I think he
2
should have
feet
done.
off the ground,
yeah, he
studs
should have
up.
been.
I think is always a red card, right? But I've seen too many this season where it's 1 foot, studs up, slightly misses the ball, slightly over the ball, and they're sent off. To me, that's just not. Like,
Curtis Jones against
Curtis Jones, yeah, that's never a red card in my opinion. He's
if
genuinely trying to get the ball. Okay, he's gone over the ball. His studs are up, but it's not malicious. It's not. Okay, is it okay, maybe it could be considered dangerous, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems like refs are just too quick to send people off. It's like they should do everything they can to keep it 11v11. We all want to see 11v11. We don't want to see players getting sent off, do we?
Yeah, no, you're right. What about cynical challenges? If there's a cynical foul, a player's
Like
trying
tactical fouls, like Rodri's like the master of tactical foul.
a player's trying to stop a counter attack.
That's a yellow card, isn't it?
Steps on the Achilles of a player.
Yeah, it's a yellow card.
Studs a bit high.
Yellow card.
Okay then.
Tactical fouls.
Thank you for confirming that Billing shouldn't have been sent off against Nottingham Forest.
Tactical fouls are yellow cards, aren't they?
Yeah.
I remember Fernandinho was the master of that for like 5 years for City. He just,
Jefferson
he
Lerma
just
for
pull
Bournemouth.
you down if you were on a counter attack. Take the yellow card once every
Yeah.
game.
Do you have a player like that? Did you have a player?
No, not really.
Romero. He just
Wow.
tactical red cards. That's what he gets.
No. Maybe I'm just bitter because Romero's been sent off so many times from VAR.
Yeah, that might be it.
It was that Chelsea game. That was again like the red card that Romero got in that. Harsh.
What do you think about this idea for VAR? Each team gets 3 chances to ask the ref to go to VAR. If they don't ask, the ref doesn't go to VAR.
See, I think that's what I would do, because I think, I mean,
if you think there's a penalty, and you actually think there's properly think there's a penalty,
but managers always claim for stuff that's not.
Yeah, but then managers would claim for less.
yeah,
They claim for less stuff if they only had 3 chances in a
True.
game.
I think it's a system that I think works really well in the American
But shouldn't it be the
sports.
players that have the challenges though?
Well, the player then will go. The player will
Because
then
they're
go to
closest to
the
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 player will
actual
then go
field.
to the manager and say, "I think that you need to call for that," or maybe the captain of the team. The players will go to the captain and be
But
like,
isn't that
yeah.
isn't that going to stop? So the players got to walk off the pitch, go to the manager.
"Will they just shout to the bench?"
Not in a full stadium, they're not going to hear you. Have to start writing notes, or they got the mic'd up, are they?
Well, I mean, if I think it could work. I think it could work.
Mate,
yeah,
but
I
you
think
still
it
don't.
could.
You still don't.
I think the problem you have
past
with
the
that
issue
though, is
of
the time. The time it would take. I think it would take longer if a team is going, okay, should we call for this? Should we not? I think because in American sports you have the time. Like
Yeah.
you just go to a commercial or something.
Yeah,
The clock stops.
It's maybe not. I mean, they'd have to figure out how to make it work for football. But I think
I think
That-
it could.
I
I think
think
it's a
it-
possibility.
I think it could work.
I think my argument is that if I put it like this, I think in sports that aren't black and white, so something like tennis,
Mm-hmm.
video replay works because the ball's in or out. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But in a sport like football, where the rules have to be interpreted by someone, I think VAR is pointless because it's not black. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not black and white. You're still interpreting the rules. So why not just have the ref do that on the pitch and to go with the referees? The referee is the boss on the pitch. He's the authority on the pitch. What he says goes. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
in sports that aren't black and white, VAR is pointless because you're just slowing down the interpretation of the laws. And because it's interpretation of laws, mistakes will still happen with VAR, and that's why we've seen mistakes. Because
But it comes
what
down
I
to
think's a
what I
red
said
card,
earlier.
what I think's a red card, you might not, and vice versa. So if I'm in the VAR room on one given weekend, I might give a red for something, and then the next weekend you might not give that.
Yeah, but then it comes down to there's fewer mistakes. Was what I've been saying. Like, you don't see.
Have you got the stats to back that up?
No, but like, I literally gave you an example.
I'd agree. Yeah, but I think it. How many? Okay, yeah, you're not going to get a situation where, was it Chamberlain got sent off instead of Gibbs or
Yeah,
whatever it was.
but I
You're not
think-
going to get something like that extreme. Okay, yeah.
I think it comes down to the rules rather than VAR. VAR is not the issue.
But the rules will always be the issue because they're always going to have to be interpreted.
Yeah. So then it doesn't matter if
Right,
you get.
but no single person is going to interpret the rule exactly the same because that's what I'm saying. Football is not black and white.
Yeah, but I know football's not black and white, right? And you're not going to always get to the right decision. But with VAR, you're more likely to get to the right decision, especially if the ref has made a very big error on the pitch. You've still got offsides with VAR, and that's black and white pretty much.
Well, offsides, like we said, should be automated.
Offside should be automated. You've got goal line technology. You keep VAR. Yes, you still get mistakes, but you get fewer mistakes because the referee, if he makes a big error, has the opportunity to look at it. I think it's just the timing. For me, it's just the timings, how long it takes. That is the issue.
Yeah.
I think going with each team having like a couple opportunities a game to go to VAR, I think that could help. Because again, it would, if each team, let's say they had 2 chances to go to VAR, you have a maximum really of 4 times that the game's stopping for
Why
VAR.
do you think we don't get to hear the deliberation in the VAR room? Do you think that's to protect the assistant? Do you think they get too much abuse if that was? No, so say you're watching, you're watching a game. Say you're watching a game on TV as a VAR check. You know they bring up a box in a corner, show you the room, and you get to hear. Why isn't that a thing?
I mean, I think that would.
Do you think that would
cause a lot of
help
abuse,
if we could actually
I think
hear?
I think it would help, but you always got the risk of
Is
them,
that a protection of
yeah, and
like the same reason refs don't do interviews after the game?
yeah,
Which
And
I think they should do that. Why can't a journalist ask a referee why they made a certain decision? Why are they protected?
well, I feel like you'd get the same answer. I feel like it doesn't matter if you interview them, you'd get the same answer every time. Why did you make that decision? Well, because I thought it was the right decision in the
But
moment.
that's not what they'd say, is it? They'd
But
say,
yes, they would. If they were to have the opportunity to get interviewed, they'd be PR trained, and they would just say.
They wouldn't just say that. No, they'd
Yes,
say
they would.
Yeah, they'd
I
say
think they definitely would.
They'd say something like, his foot was high, it was dangerous, his studs were showing. They wouldn't. They'd give more detail than that. But I would want that. If Spurs have just lost a game because, that Chelsea game, we win that game without that red card. If the ref came out after the game and said, had no choice to send him off, dangerous tackle, foot was off the ground, studs up, I think you could live with it a little bit more as a fan. If you could hear the response, if you could hear the reasoning behind the justification.
You'd have to be a bit of a delusional fan not to think that should have been that red card that you're talking about should have been yellow or something.
Yeah, it's one of them where I think there should be a third card between yellow and red.
Sin bin card.
Sin bin, yeah. Oh god, we're not going to get into that. But no, I think a bit more transparency. I think would go a long way with it.
I think that's what they're trying to do this season with the after the games. They on Monday Night Football or whatever. You got the ref going over a bunch of decisions.
Why, when I watch a game, and why is all I get is the commentator is saying, "Okay, there's a VAR check." That's all I get, and then they say check over. Why am I not hearing the deliberations in the VAR room? Do you think it's enough? Do you think it's enough for you to just...
because the game is still... A lot of the time the game is still going on. The commentator's got stuff to talk about. If the game isn't going on, then I think...
that's a good point.
Then I think that if the ref has stopped the game, then at that point, and he's going over to the monitor, then at that point, I don't think the fans should be able to hear what's going on.
Okay. I suppose that's kind of even more disrupting though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
slowing down the foul or whatever, the footage. That's another issue that we could talk about.
Well, yeah, we talked about that briefly, didn't we?
I mean, it's
something will
always
look
worse
in slow motion. Yeah.
And I mean, if you're, and it's a timing thing as well. If you're spending 5 minutes and you're looking at every single frame, slow motion,
just go with the ref's decision.
It's either clear and obvious or it's not. And if you have to spend 5 minutes looking at it in slow motion, it's not obvious,
I think the only time you should go into slow motion is to see if there's contact and see the nature of the contact. You shouldn't use slow motion to see the force that the player's going in with or whatever. I think you should look at it in normal speed, then you look at it in slow motion once or twice, and then you look at it in normal speed again to make your final decision at the end in normal time.
I mean, tackles will always be forceful. That's kind of the point of a tackle.
Yeah.
So you can't start saying...
But then if the player doesn't get the ball and you need to make sure they don't get the ball, that's when you go to slow motion. Do they make contact with the ball? If not, if you can't tell in normal time, you have to go to slow motion, which I think is what they should use that for. But I mean, some of the rules, maybe we should go into...
I mean, the handball rule is...
A certain handball rule, which I just...
Well, I don't know. I feel like the handball rule...
I think for a penalty, I think it's kind of all right, the handball rule.
Yeah, I agree with the rule that
distance.
Any goal... I agree with that. Because you can't be conceding goals when it's hit a hand.
I disagree.
Oh, God. Here we go.
I think if the ball goes in off someone's hand...
Yeah.
It shouldn't be allowed, obviously.
Yeah.
But if the ball makes contact with a player's hand
leading up to a goal
and that player scores, I think it should be the same as a penalty. If their arm is in a natural position by their side in the silhouette of their body, I don't think the goal should be disallowed. Why is it different when you're attacking to when you're defending? It should be the same. The rules should apply across the whole thing. unless you're going to go with every time the ball hits someone's hand in the penalty area, it's a penalty. I think it should be consistent over attacking and
but then
defending.
you're going to get people using their hands in the box, and then it's just going to be a goal.
But like, if you're going, let's say, I can't even remember what game we got a goal. It was against Sheffield United. We had a goal disallowed. I think it was against Sheffield United because it hit Solanke's arm, but he's like 2 feet away from the player. His arm is like in a natural position, and the player just boots it straight at him. He can't move his hand out of the way. His hand is down by his side. It hit his hand. He then takes a touch and slots it in.
I don't think you can give goals where it's hit a hand.
I think if it's in a natural position, if the player's really close,
that opens up a whole can of worms, though.
But I mean, it does. But it's starting to work a bit better in the penalty area for penalties. I mean, obviously you got the Rodri one, like against, I don't know who it was, a couple of seasons ago, which should have been a penalty and wasn't.
Yeah,
but like recently, I don't think there's been any big like handball decisions that everyone said has been wrong.
I mean, the handball has to be
in Newcastle game.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
European though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
It was harsh, yeah. Because wasn't that one like where it's not in a the close proximity. It's not in an unnatural position.
I mean, he didn't even hit his hand. It was off. It hit his chest into his elbow.
Yeah, and that's another thing where they slow it down.
And
then it looks like it might have hit his hand because you slowed it down. And it's corruption.
Yeah, I just think the handball rule needs to change for goals, for giving goals.
But wouldn't you be fuming though if Bournemouth conceded a goal and it hit someone's hand in the build-up? I'd be fuming with that. Wouldn't you, Cameron?
I would be, yeah.
I'd be fuming.
So, yeah.
But what if his hand's in a natural position? I'd only be as angry as if.
No, but I feel like attacking's different though, because attacking, it shouldn't be. Scoring a goal is the hardest thing to do, and if you're going to start saying that it can hit hands in the build-up, it makes it. I don't know. It just feels wrong. It just feels wrong.
Yeah, I guess, but like, I think everyone complains about consistency with the referees.
The reason you have to have a rule for defending is because you can't give a penalty every time a ball gets kicked at a hand. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think that should be the case. But I think you need to have some sort of consistency across the whole pitch. People complain that if that foul was anywhere else, if that contact was anywhere else on the pitch, it would have been given a foul. So why in the penalty area is it not given?
But it is different though. There is a higher threshold in the penalty area. That's people that say that of course there's a higher threshold for a penalty. Of course.
So why should there be a higher threshold for a penalty for a handball and not for a goal?
Because you want to maintain the purity of attacking football. You want to maintain scoring a goal being the hardest thing to do.
But if it's not an intentional handball,
I don't think it matters though, because if it doesn't hit a hand, it's not going to be a goal.
But what about if it hits, like, let's say it hits the hand of a player and then someone else on the team scores in the same situation? So like,
no, it's just still not be a goal.
But but the thing is, it is a goal. In the current rules, if let's say it hits Cameron's hand,
yeah,
and the ball falls to me and I score,
yeah,
that goal isn't going to be disallowed because it's
yeah,
not.
It is.
No, it's not, because it's not the player who scored who hits the ball. It's who.
But I thought the rule was if the ball hits the hand in the build up to a goal, it's disallowed.
If it hits the hand of the player who scores.
Oh,
and the hand is in an unnatural position. Yes, yeah, because last season, I'm gonna go back to another Bournemouth example. When we played against West Ham, it was a corner, player hits his arm, goes to another player, he scores.
Who makes
goal
these
is given.
rules, honestly?
That's my point exactly. It should be consistent. Either
get us in the
either you have what you said and it should be disallowed no matter whose hand it hits in the build up for a goal.
Yeah, I just think
or
any hand
if it's accidental, if it's in
a
the silhouette of his body, if it's in a natural position, if it's close proximity, the goal should just be allowed. It should be one of those two. But for some reason, it's different depending on the player who handballs it, which I think is just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, handball one, I feel like should be pretty straightforward. It should be, shouldn't it? But
it's the most difficult rule for referees to
defending
decide on.
wise, handball needs to be.
But then you've got the whole proximity stuff as well, and how close,
they probably
how
needs
the
to be.
speed.
They probably need to put a distance in, you know. But then would players start taking advantage of that? I don't know. You've got to be careful, haven't you? Because if you start putting, a player can't be no less than 2 meters away for a penalty, players will just start knowing that and just start. Does that happen? I don't really think so, but
No,
you open yourself up to it, don't you?
it's just one of them. Like, should we put more technology into the handball rule? You could get a chip in the ball and work out the speed that the ball's
But
travelling
then
at, the distance
the
it
other
travels at
argument
between
is that
each.
this was what makes football. These debates, if it becomes too perfect, you lose something. You lose the debate down the pub. You lose
We'd lose an episode of the podcast.
you lose podcast topics. So I don't know. In an ideal world, yeah, of course, you'd want every decision to be correct. But we don't live in an ideal world. We live in an imperfect world where mistakes do happen. And to me, I just think those mistakes should let the ref make them, and not sacrifice the stoppages, the interpretation, and all these other people that have to make decisions on, the referee works all their life to become a ref in the Premier League. Let them bear the responsibility.
See, I think 2 brains are better than 1. We've already said this. Like,
But it's not, though.
there are fewer wrong decisions.
They gave an offside goal onside. No, they gave an onside goal offside. How does that happen when you have VAR?
But that has nothing to do with it if we have automated offsides, which I agree with you. We should have automated offsides.
Yeah, but you just said 2 heads are better than 1. But how does that happen when you have a room full of VAR officials
well,
if
they listen to the assistant,
looking at a replay?
If they
I
listen
could
to the
see it was
assistant VAR
onside.
guy, if they listen to the assistant VAR guy, they would have got the decision right, but they just decided not to listen to
But
him.
how does that happen? How is there a system where you ignore someone saying we've got this decision wrong and you go with that decision? How does that happen?
Because they're idiots. but the thing is,
I saw one replay on TV and said this onside.
There are fewer wrong decisions since VAR has come in. How many?
But that's the only upside, though.
Yeah, but surely that's an important that's an important enough upside to keep it, but change it. I'm agreeing with you that there should be changes, but I don't think we should just scrap it.
A few more right decisions here or there outweighs more injuries, 3, 4, 5 minute stoppages a game.
I'm not saying this. I'm literally saying we should have changes to make them have less stoppages and therefore less injuries. But I'm saying we should keep VAR as a thing, just make changes to it, and a lot of changes. I'm not saying we should keep it as it is.
As a concept, it's beneficial, right? But changes need to be made. But to scrap it completely, I think would be a mistake. But then obviously you have the issue where when it's technology making these mistakes, it's worse, right? People are going to get more frustrated, which is why the
That's
changes
when you just think,
need
what's
to
the point in
happen.
it? If it still makes mistakes, just go back to the traditional.
But like Jake is saying, there is fewer mistakes than what a referee is going to make. You can maybe forgive them a little bit more because they're only human.
My argument is that have technology for the black and white aspects of the game. So offsides and goal line technology. That works because, it's either offside or it's not. It's either over the line or it isn't. But VAR does not work for interpretive decisions because it's still an interpretation. Okay, you're seeing it. The only difference is you're seeing it a few more times. Does not mean you're going to get the right decision. It just means you've seen it a few more times. But because you're interpreting the rule, you still might get the decision wrong.
For the black and white decisions, then, do you think they should have automated goal kick or corner or throw-ins and that kind of stuff? Put a chip in the ball, see tell where the last contact was.
Yeah, but I think.
But then surely that would take more time for.
Right, well, then it would just beep. It just beeps a goal kick or goal line technology. You just get the ref gets a beep on his watch. But I just think for
But then at that point,
for red cards, for penalties, those decisions are interpretations of laws. two people will not agree, 9 times out of 10 or whatever it is. So them decisions should just be down to the ref on the day. His decision is what you go with.
I don't think you can say 9 times out of 10 two people won't agree on that.
Okay, no, that's an exaggeration.
We all agree.
you know
we
what
all
I mean.
agree that
There will be instances where I think a red card isn't, and Cameron might think it is. There will be, that. So two different referees.
which is surely why having more people deciding on that decision, having two referees.
You just convolute the process. But you know what my argument is though.
But what if, like, let's say you have 10 referees, right?
Yeah.
In
7 of them might agree on what a red card.
They're shown a piece of footage from a game.
Yeah.
9 of them say it's a red card.
Yeah.
1 of them says it's not a red card. If you have that one referee that game,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a red card. But then the majority think it is a red card. So if you have multiple referees, like one in VAR and one on the pitch, deciding that, then they'll look at it.
But
say,
you still have
50-50.
You still have different people in the VAR. There's 10 games a weekend. There's a different person in each VAR.
Yeah. But still having more people decide it is better.
Yeah, but I don't know, obviously,
because then you can go even back to
but
even more inconsistency.
Is there not still one person in each room who's responsible for the final decision? So you have a team, of course.
Yeah.
But is there still not one supervisor who says, okay, this is the decision we're going with?
Yeah, but usually they listen to the team.
Or is it a case of one person's responsible for offsides, one person's responsible for red card decisions?
I think they all look at all of it, and the person in charge then goes, okay, this is the decision we're going with. But they will take everyone else's.
We're in a VAR room, right? Us three.
To be honest, I'd love to do VAR. I'd love to go to a VAR room at some point.
Us three are in a VAR room. We see, all three of us are looking at a replay on a potential red card. What chance we all agree? We all agree on if it's a red card or not. Surely that can't. There's instances in the VAR room, even in the VAR room, where there's 4 people and 3 of them think it's a red card and 1 of them doesn't. This is what I'm saying. It's interpretation.
So then you go with the majority. You go with the 3 people. You just go, okay, well, if 3 people think that's a red card and 1 doesn't, you go with the 3 and say, okay, it's a red card.
So you're saying the benefit there is that there's
more people. There's more.
So basically, like a jury, you're saying.
Yeah, basically. And I think that is a benefit because everyone's complaining. Everyone's complained about the inconsistencies of refs, right? If you have one referee make the decision, and he makes a decision that would be different to every other referee.
A decision made by one person is worse than a decision made by 5 people.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's why I think there has been fewer mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's probably yeah, I see that. I think if they can sort out the time.
That's exactly what I've been saying.
If they can sort out the delays. But we're still going to be having debates about...
We've got him on side.
Finally.
Yeah.
It's taken how long? 38 minutes.
I don't know. I just think for interpretive decisions, just stick with a ref because...
Oh, never mind. He's not agreeing with us.
But you know what I mean, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But I think, as I said, multiple people making the decision is better because you're less likely to get a mistake from that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the issue is the laws themselves. It's not actually the referees. The line for a red card is too low, in my opinion. Now,
haven't we got like the most red cards in?
The threshold for what is a red card is too low. It needs to go back not to what it was 15 years ago because that was insane. You could literally tooth at someone and get a yellow card, but
before VAR.
No, I'm talking like Roy Keane days.
It should go back to the threshold. Should go back to what it was before VAR, so like 5 years ago. Because 5 years ago you wouldn't get as many red.
A red card is what would you say is a red card? No attempt to win the ball. Dangerous.
Off the ground, dangerous.
2 feet off the ground, studs up.
A high challenge as well. Not above the ball challenge, but like even higher than that. Like,
where do you stand on like
endangering the opponent?
Like, obviously, I know the rule is that if you touch the face, it's a red card, right?
Yeah.
But what about them ones where it's like 2 players jump in? I guess it's all in the
interpretation.
Exactly, it's all in the interpretation. Oh, did that player mean it? No, he didn't mean that. Oh, yeah, he definitely meant that. You know what I mean? I
think they've actually got pretty good at not giving
when
red cards.
When you
for
jump,
that.
you use your arms.
But I think they've got pretty good at not
so
giving red cards.
unless you're
for that.
doing this,
It's all
Sorry,
about
you
it's
didn't
all
see
about
that,
it's all about where the they're not going to be able to see you elbow in the wall.
I was doing it for you too. It's all right.
But like, yeah, I think they've got pretty good at that because it's all about like,
Yeah,
does the player who commits the foul, are they looking at the player before they jump for it? If they're not, then obviously they don't expect the player to be there, and they're not gonna. It shouldn't be a red card. And I think that's one of the instances of red cards where they've actually got quite good at not giving them all the time. I think it's just the other ones, the Curtis Jones one, for example. It's those kind of challenges that they're not.
Yeah,
giving.
and I mean, I feel like recently I've seen a lot of good refereeing performances. Like the City Liverpool game, the ref just let the game flow. Like he was not giving cheap fouls, and that's what you should like. I genuinely believe if you're a top ref, you don't need VAR. Like, do you think Kellina needed VAR? No way.
Well, then we need better refs.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. I think a competent ref does not need VAR.
I think the biggest problem with refereeing isn't VAR and isn't the big decisions. It's just the little things that just like stopping the game from flowing, as you said, like giving way too many free kicks, like, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's falling for the play acting of players.
The threshold for a foul should be high. It should be.
It should be. Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna blow the whistle, stop the game, it should be for something that's, you know, not dangerous, because you can't only give fouls for things that are dangerous. But it should be something that, you know, little tussles here and there, just play on. You know.
Yeah.
And some refs do that, which I don't understand. Like, how can it's almost like some refs have styles. Like, you know what I mean? Like refs have distinctive style, which it shouldn't be, should it? It should be one consistent style that every ref shares.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
You know, if I was a ref and I'm like, oh no, I don't really give fouls for soft things, and then you're a ref, but you do give all them, like that can't be. Like, where's the consistency?
Yeah, I mean, and I mean that's a whole nother issue. I think as well, like a lot of refs are too easily influenced by players as well, which I think that comes into it with the soft calls. You know,
I don't think the elite ones are. Maybe like the younger ones.
There's a lot of
what are the egos of referees as well?
I feel like we don't really have any anymore, really. I mean, Mike Dean was like the number one egotistical.
If like a player goes up to a referee and then starts talking too much,
you tell him to.
Nowadays, they just give him a yellow card.
Yeah, that's good though, because it incentivizes. I feel like I've seen a lot less of that. Like, I've not seen.
It was at the beginning of the season. You saw it a lot.
I've not seen crowded refs for a while, like the team crowding a ref for a while now,
because of the threat of a yellow card.
Yeah, but we've got to be careful that we don't dilute too much the game, and it just becomes like this, you know, friendly.
And then you've got the whole yellow cards for time wasting as well. Like,
that should. Yeah, of course. If a keeper's
you should
a minute to take a goal kick, they should get a yellow card.
You should, but then you've got the whole issue of like, if a team's taking really long for a throw-in, for example, someone's holding onto the ball looking for a throw-in.
I've seen loads of yellow cards for.
And then they pass the ball onto their teammate, and that teammate takes like 5 seconds to take the throw-in. That teammate's going to get the yellow card. So surely you could just rotate who gets the yellow card and just time waste like that.
Yeah, but then you're all on yellow cards.
Yeah, but by that point the game's over.
I feel like you'd get hounded.
But also, it's like the refs are quite quick to give yellow cards for time wasting when the player isn't booked. But then they don't give it, like they rarely give her a second yellow.
Yeah, it's hard to send someone off for time wasting, isn't it? But normally,
and kicking the ball away as well. I mean, in against Sheffield, I can go into another Bournemouth example. Against Sheffield United, I think it was Norwood, kicked the ball away, got a yellow card. And then again in the second half, did the exact same thing. The ref went to go book him and was like, "Hang on, he's already on a yellow card. I'm not going to go book him." I think you should get sent off for that. If you got a yellow card in the first case, you should get a yellow card in the second case. It should be the same.
But then I think it goes down to what I said earlier. Whereas if you can keep it 11v11, you should. He's not done something dangerous.
Yeah, but he's done something. He's already on a yellow. It's stupid though. It's like you shouldn't be able to get away with that.
You don't want to see someone get sent off for kicking the ball away twice.
Yeah, you don't. But if it's the rules and you get a yellow card for kicking the ball away, it should happen every time.
Maybe. I don't want to see it. Someone gets sent off kicking the ball away to wide.
I do if it's against Bournemouth. We still probably would have drawn that game anyway.
You might actually concede 3 if you're playing against 10.
But we didn't concede 3 against Sheffield United, and that was the game I was talking about.
2, so much better.
Yeah, the ref was so much better in the Luton game. So
yeah, I mean, but we're 5 years in, and these changes haven't been made. So what are the likelihood that they are going to be made? Feels like they make like minute changes each season that don't really have. This season it was the yellow cards for
time wasting and kicking the ball away.
kicking the ball away, shouting at the ref. So what's it going to be next season? It'll be something small.
Hopefully, automated offsides.
Yeah, hopefully automated offsides, timer for VAR checks, but that won't all come
and
in.
better technology to see if the ball's gone over the touch line or the byline or whatever. Because
for like goal line, or you mean
no, as in like for the Newcastle goal against Arsenal.
Oh yeah,
because like
definitely in.
Was it though?
Yeah, definitely.
That's the thing, we don't know.
It's the curvature of the ball. So the ball doesn't have to be in.
Yeah, I know.
But if the curvature of the ball is in line, it's in.
But was it still in though?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, the curvature of the ball. So the ball physically wasn't in, but the curvature of the ball was in line with the...
I know what you're saying, but...
Yes, so it was in.
Do you have evidence of that?
Yeah.
Prove it.
Interpretation, mate. But again,
put it on our Twitter.
But again, that's a team of people looking at the reason that goal was given is because they couldn't rule out that it was. They couldn't distinctively rule out that it was out or in. So they just gave the goal because benefit of the doubt, isn't it? You know, the offside rule for years was benefit of the doubt to the attacker.
Yeah,
because you want to see more goals, you want to see more entertainment. Obviously, that's gone now because we have some technology. For
you don't want to see more goals though. You think goals are the hardest part of football, so you don't want to see them.
Well, they should be. Goals should be hard to score. If you're going to start giving goals where it hits a hand, it's just devalues.
You heard it. Lewis doesn't like goals. He doesn't want it.
No, it devalues.
He's a Tottenham fan, so
it
makes
devalues
sense.
it. You know, if Bournemouth won a game from a goal that smacked a hand in the build-up, you can't feel good about that.
Yet you want to keep, those moments like Hand of God and that kind of stuff in.
No, I don't want to keep them. I'm saying they're iconic.
Surely Bournemouth winning from a handball would be iconic.
No, my argument would be, how's the ref not seen that? That would be my... Literally, I'm not going to do it again.
doing more actions.
I mean, it's literally obvious. Maradona's 5'5". Shilton's 6'2", 6'3". There's no way he wins that ball without...
Was Maradona 5'5"?
Yeah.
He's a bit taller than that, like 5'7".
No. Google it right now.
I'll Google it right now.
5'5", I'm saying.
I'm saying 5'7".
Actually, no, 5'5" does sound a bit small.
That's like
5'7", yeah.
I think Danny DeVito.
Messi.
Danny DeVito's 5'4", so
Messi, so he's 5'7". 5'7".
I'm looking it up right now.
Final answer is 5'7". The suspense.
It's 5'4".
No way!
Wow.
I told you. He's small.
Apparently.
That might be when he was older. He might have been a little bit taller when he was younger. But yeah, I knew I was supposed to be more confident with myself. Maradona was small. There's no way he beat Shilton.
He's 5'5". He's 5'5".
Okay, yeah. So I was
right. 5 foot 4.9 inches.
So I was spot on then. Is that what you're telling me?
No, you weren't, because he was 4.961 inches.
We round it up. So, any closing thoughts? Think that's been a good debate on VAR. Have I been
a good debate on Maradona's height, for sure.
Convinced by your argument? Partially.
Yes,
partially. I like the argument that I like the best is the jury idea. Like the jury idea, the fact that a wrong decision is still better made by 5 people than 1, I suppose.
Yeah,
because you can say, okay, they made a wrong decision, but they deliberated with 5 people. You can kind of live with it. Whereas if it was only 1 person, you're like, oh, we had a different ref, or we had a different on a different day, that decision doesn't get made. Whereas if 5 people are making a decision, you could make the argument that they come to the same decision.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not convinced by you, though.
You're not convinced by me?
No.
None of my arguments, not even the black and white interpretation.
No.
When something's
Most of your arguments I agreed with anyway already. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just, But I think it was a good debate.
Wrap it up.
What, me?
Yeah, you intro.
Right.
Wrap it up.
Well, okay then. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast on VAR. More debates like this in the future on other topics, like the new Champions League format. That will
Champions
be.
League format, yeah.
Yep.
And obviously, when there are Premier League games on, we'll be going over them as well. So,
Maybe a few FA Cup games.
yeah, make sure you check them out. Check out the future podcasts. Check out our Twitter page as well. I can't remember what the @ is. I was going to say @ whatever our @ was, but
Yeah, it's a weird @ you did. I can't
yeah,
remember either.
I think it's. I can't remember, but if you somehow managed to find us on Twitter, well done. But yeah, thanks for watching, listening. I said watching. Even though-
You can watch on YouTube, actually.
yeah,
Technically.
that's true. Technically, but you can't see Lewis elbow the air or
No,
do
we need to- we
Maradona's
need-
hand of God.
Yeah,
kind
we
of
need
thing.
to get a camera in here so people can see my interpretation.
But yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.